Now, the birth of the firm. Well, I went to RPI, and because of my dad being sick and everything, I had to get to work right away. So while I worked for Evans and Davis. This is an architect in Troy, and I worked for him for 4 or 5 years. 5 years. And then at graduation, I went to work for Rand Atkinson, who was my professor of professional practice at RPI. He knew me well. I, I was going to get married, and I walked into to his office, and I said, Rand, I knew him well. I could talk to him like that, not Mr. Atkinson. And so I says, Rand, I'm looking for work. He says, do you have a pencil? I said, I just happen to have one. So he says, take that desk. That's how I got the job. So okay. While I was there, I got an associate professor's job at Hudson Valley Community College, and I taught architecture and design, things like that. And license. And then I got my license, and I opened my own firm in 1960, and walked out and left it to this young man here. Okay, so now this is the crew that we started with. Right here is one person, Steve Brown. He's right there. And then, is that Ray? No. It's Ray Angela. My first secretary. Maybe you met. She's here too. Okay, and the man with the bow tie, and these are my field engineers, architects. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Now the next. Huh? Oh. Right. Okay, next. Oh. Now, here is another project, Park Mart. Park Mart is a parking garage and a supermarket. The parking garage on top of the supermarket. The supermarket was here. 786 comes out to North Pearl Street here, and they were displaced. So I know an attorney. It's awfully good to know attorneys. Bob Rose, and he knew the mayor, and I thought that one of the things that I was told very early is it's H.H. Richardson. He's the architect that designed the City Hall, and he's one of the American architects, I believe, along with Louis Sullivan. But Richardson said the first thing about architecture is to get the job. So, so I always kept that in my head. And so now, let's see, Joe Scipione is the owner of Grand Cache. He was being displaced. The mayor said he could take that site. So here's the Grand Cache supermarket, which is now a theater. When, let's see. When the mayor told me, then I talked to Bob Rose, and I said, Bob, let's sell the air rights. And Joe knows the mayor, and I didn't know the mayor, but they signed Chummy up. And I said, sell the air rights over that, and then we'll do you a real job, I didn't know what would happen. But he mentioned what could the site be. I said, parking garage. Okay, he says, I'll go along with that. He didn't say it that quickly. But he says, you have to have at least 200 cars, and you can't go more than 3 floors. So Bob Rose checked with the places in Boston where they sell air rights. And he checked on the legal things about that. He told the mayor about it. And, you know, a lot of this stuff is nonsense. We just built the darn garage. See? So, so here's the garage, the entrance and the exit to the garage. Okay, Bart. Now, see, this is a model, and over here was there still is, there's a building here. And again, you know, get the job. So I found out by the engineer in Albany that that building was condemned and they were going to take it down. So I thought, well, good. I talked to the mayor and I said, the mayor, we don't have quite enough room to put 200 cars up here unless we cantilever the garage over the sidewalk. So he said, go ahead. So I thought, boy, you know, I'm really getting good at this. And so here I present him with this, and the mayor looks at this and says, what happened to that building? What happened to that street? I said, I closed that street. He says, Bob, I'll tell you when you can close the street. So that just really calmed me down. So you know, one thing is you can lose a job too. So, so that was the end of that. But here's the garage, and you see the exit there. I think next. And this is the entrance. This is a spiral entrance. We enter on the 3rd floor, and there's the 3 floors. Next. Now, I just showed this. This is a site for the garage. Now, everything's been cleaned off the site, and we're digging down for the footings. And you see, to protect, see, this is North Pearl Street, and if you don't do something, the North Pearl Street will wind up down here. So you put steel sheet piling, you just drive it down there. And this is, the city of Albany is fairly old. And in driving this, we cut a lot of water lines and things like that of stores that used to be there. And here, this sheet piling, we cut through a huge storm sewer. The thing was so big, it used to take all the water from in the area up there, the Arbor Hill. Okay, see, this is my state game. Okay, but it's now, it doesn't work anymore. So we kind of worked around it, and you know, but you know, this is an idea of what's involved in a site. And here, I show this. This is the center of the parking garage and what we called the shear wall. Right? Everything is tied to here, and then the floor is pulled out of this shear wall. So next, I'll show you how all that works. You see, here is this is the ceiling of one of the floors, and this is the shear wall right here. And what we did is we used coffered ceiling, where you take as much concrete out as you can so that you reduce the load, and then put these ribs in. And inside of those ribs, we put post-tension cables, not cables, reinforcing, and hold the roof that way. And I'll show you how that works later. Now, this is Joe Scipione's supermarket. Unfortunately, Sal is not here, but a lot of you people know Sal and Teresa. He knew Joe Scipione very well. Now, Joe liked to gamble a little bit, you know, and he's a hard worker. Every year he spends $1 or $2 on gambling. So he went down to the islands, and then when he came back, it was raining. And he had taken a ship down to the islands and left his wife, Josephine, and his 2 daughters there while he and 3 other guys went gambling. So the cab driver could not stop because the was so wet, and they went into the deck, and they all drowned, all 4. So Joe never saw this. Josephine took over, and she had the manager try to take Joe's place. But over the years, few years, it didn't really work. She had to raise 2 children. So that's how the theater, wound up there. They sold it to the theater. But that was very sad. Now you see here is this tile, colored tile. And this is an example of that, of the colored tile, how we test it and get it approved by the owner. We did this in a high school screen, like we could have done it here. Okay. Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. Ray's Lake. Okay. You have to be pretty good because most of the time I can't see that far. Okay. See, now I was telling you about the steel rods going through. This is the floor. And you see they end up here, and these steel rods, we jack in the tension. This is a post-tension structure. We grab that rod, and we pull on it, and we're pulling from the scissors rod out. Once we get, say, 10 kips, which would be 10,000 pounds, a kip at 1,000. Once we pull this to 10, then we'd go to the next, and after the concrete is cured, you lock them up, and then you plug, or you put plugs in to bury the bolt that's in there, so that this whole thing now is in compression. Next. This is the entrance, and here I just note, we have signs, stop signs, things like that. We try to mimic the highway, maybe that's a little bit of nothing useless is a low. Okay, next. Now you see, this is the whole thing. We're looking up North Pearl Street, and you see those little buttons. Here, they're pulling the rod. They go down into the shear wall. And the same thing here, goes down into the shear wall. And now these are stretched out so that we could reduce the concrete here tremendous. This right here is 8 inches, to give you an idea. And that is 63-foot span out of concrete. That's a big deal. Okay, next. This is Leo Biagiotti. He's a contractor. He was awarded. And hopefully I'll have time to show you what we did on a law school. And he was just a boy then. And his dad got to law school. And his dad was tremendous. Leo, thanks, Steve. Leo died a couple of years ago, but he was hot-tempered, and he did the parking garage. He finished it. But his dad was really something. A good architect, I'm told, a good architecture requires a good owner, a good architect, and a good contractor, in that order. Okay, so, and that's his super, and that's the guy with the bow tie. Okay, next. Okay, so now again, the best thing about architecture, the first, is get the job. So having this is under construction now, and it's going. I have room for more work in the office. So I make recommendations to the mayor I found the YWCA over here, and this plot here, which is next to the First Church, they were vacant. The YMCA, they were going to take it down. So I suggested, we could put a hotel here, and a commercial area. And then over here, we could do a high-rise and increase the parking 2 or 3 times, and then up above have a shopping area. So that really, the office was really excited about that until the mayor says, we have lost enough money with you guys. So that was the end.